erosion under them. Also, the overwhelming amount of waste produced by the animals used in the meat industry is impossible to counter with recycling. The nitrogen volatilization from animal waste heavily contributes to the eutrophic and acidic damage to ecosystems. Excessive aquatic enrichment creates too much algae growth in the bodies of water. These algae blooms at times contain human toxins, and their decay results in hypoxic conditions that decimate biodiversity in our waters. The increase in eutrophication has led to the proliferation of massive dead zones all around the world. Another environmentally damaging factor is that factory farms generate an unmanageable amount of greenhouse gases. Therefore, they are a major contributor to global warming. A great amount of agrochemicals, fuel, and electricity is needed to run a factory farm, and the immense population of animals in the factory farm releases an enormous amount of nitrous oxide and methane, which have higher global warming potential than the carbon dioxide already generated from these factories. As a final bit to encapsulate the already substantial grounds promoting vegetarianism, vegetarians stress that with the growing globalization of problems and consequences, it is imperative to be aware of the vulnerabilities of the infrastructure that connects and affects everyone, East and West. Vegetarianism promotes an eagerness to understand the differences in the world and is hailed as intrinsically good. The ethics behind vegetarianism promotes the broadening of the scope of whom and what should be given moral consideration, and stresses ethics-based decisions. Non-vegetarians often use the flawed defense that eating meat is natural to justify their choice. The defense claims that humans, along with other animal species, have eaten meat throughout the history, therefore it is natural, which in turn makes it right. The claim also usually includes that humans are at the top of the food chain, thus it is one's right to eat all the elements under humans. This claim is flawed, and vegetarians argue that just because something is or is not natural, or common throughout human history, does not equate to being moral. Murder, genocide, slavery, and rape have all been the status quo in human history and are shamefully present today, but they are not moral acts. This claim that eating meat is natural is simply a description, but it is not a sound defense, nor does it address the morality of non-vegetarianism. Vegetarians argue that ignorance is not bliss. Awareness prevents misconceptions and promotes better stewardship of one's life. Using more refined sensibilities as guidance, people convey that every action or inaction affects a greater picture. Also, vegetarianism embeds the notion that sensitive treatment should apply to all animals, including humans. Vegetarianism can be a vehicle that instills the virtues of respect and thoughtfulness. It can be a tool that aids in the widening of views on whom or what should be given moral consideration. Vegetarians urge that the general perception of animals needs to be fundamentally changed. Studies have shown that children's humane attitudes towards animals mirror their empathetic attitudes towards humans. Socialization of children that reinforces compassionate and responsible treatment of both humans and animals remedies patterns of aggressiveness and violence. There have been alarming links made between interpersonal violent crimes and animal cruelty. What do Gandhi, Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Da Vinci, Thoreau, Emerson, Bob Dylan, and Marley have in common with 9-time Olympic gold athlete Carl Lewis and both 6-time Ironman winners Dave Scott and Dr. Ruth Heydrich? They were or are practicing vegetarians and advocates of vegetarianism. This is not to say that one must be vegetarian to be inspirational, but it certainly provides that vegetarianism is found throughout history and world, despite differences in creed or occupation. No matter the argument, vegetarians claim that their stance is more nourishing, conducive to the well-being of the body and earth, practical, ethical, and more powerful. The decision to agree with the notion that vegetarianism trumps all is left to the individual and what they choose to ignore or influence what they eat and why. Motivations that span from east to west provide strong substances that makes the case for vegetarianism a strong one that continues to influence people around the world.
I've grown tiresome. I know my time is surely gonna come. Will you comfort me in my time?